Hey, Flo here. More Bible reading. So let's see, we're on day 3. Is that right? Yeah, day 3 of week 5. Going to be reading Genesis chapter 32 to 34 and Matthew chapter 7. All right, so let's say a quick prayer and then get into it. Probably be a short stream today. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for everybody that you've made and the whole world, but especially the people that you've made. And I pray that you would give us a heart for each other, that we would be able to see outside ourselves and care for others around us. Pray that you would seek and save the lost and use your body of Christ, to reach people in the world in spite of our feelings and failings, really. And pray that you would keep us from temptation and sin and despair and fear. Give us love and hope and peace. Pray that you would speak to us through your word today. Help us to understand, especially me, since I'm not very good at understanding. And help me to speak clearly enough. And thank you for all the Bibles that we have to read and understand in English. I pray that you would bless those that are trying to make the word available across the world. And thank you for all these things in Jesus' name, amen. Alrighty. So last night, this morning, I don't know when it was, I was looking at Bible translations again. I actually watched a bunch of videos on stuff. I often have videos going just when I'm sitting around, so it's not so quiet sitting here working on stuff. I was looking at the NET version, which I think has similar copyright freedom that like the WAB does that I'm using. And I think the NET is a little bit more of a thought for thought translation, so maybe a little bit easier to read through, but I think I'm going to stick with the WEB for now. I actually thought about reading both, but that would make double long live streams and most people wouldn't be interested in that. But for my own sake, I wouldn't mind doing that just so I could get two different perspectives on the same stories. But I think I'll just stick with the WEB for now. With it, even, I feel like it has a few small shortcomings, but it's fine. Anyway, let's get on with Genesis chapter 32. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When he saw them, Jacob said, "This is God's army." He called the name of that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers in front of him to Esau, his brother, to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. He commanded them, saying, "This is what you shall tell my lord Esau. This is what your servant Jacob says. I have lived as a foreigner with Laban and stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, flocks, male servants and female servants. I have sent to tell you, my lord, that I may find favor in your sight." The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau. Not only that, but he comes to meet you, and 400 men with him." Then Jacob was greatly afraid and was distressed. He divided the people who were with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels, into 2 companies. And he said, if Esau comes to the one company and strikes it, then the company which is left will escape. Jacob said, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, Yahweh, who said to me, return to your country and to your relatives, and I will do you good. I am not worthy of the least of all the loving kindness and of all the truth which you have shown to your servant. For with just my staff I crossed over this Jordan, and now I have become 2 companies. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and strike me, and the mothers with the children. You said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring, or seed as sand of the sea, which can't be counted because there are so many. He stayed there that night and took from that which he had with him a present for Esau his brother, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels and their colts, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 foals. He delivered them into the hands of his servants, every herd by itself, and said to his servants, pass over before me and put a space between herd and herd. He commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meets you and asks you, saying, whose are you? Where are you going? Whose are these before you? Then you shall say, they are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau. Behold, he also is behind us. He commanded also the second and the third and all that followed the herds, saying, this is how you shall speak to Esau when you find him. You shall say, not only that, but behold, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the present passed over before him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. He rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 servants and his 11 sons and crossed over the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them over the stream and sent over that which he had. Jacob was left alone and wrestled with a man there until the breaking of the day. When he saw that he didn't prevail against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was strained as he wrestled. The man said, let me go, for the day breaks. Jacob said, I won't let you go unless you bless me. He said to him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. He said, your name will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have fought with God and with men, and have prevailed. Jacob asked him, please tell me your name. He said, why is it that you ask what my name is? He blessed him there. Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. Peniel means face of God, for he said, I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. The sun rose on him as he passed over Peniel, and he limped because of his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel don't eat the sinew of the hip, which is on the hollow of the thigh, to this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew of the hip. All right, that's Genesis chapter 32. I've always wondered about that one. It's such a weird story. I don't read Bible commentaries that much. I used to when I was younger, but I came to the conclusion that if I can't learn something by reading it and the Spirit speaking to me, I feel like it's not super important. I know that sounds illogical, and if you're a pastor or any normal person, you can read all sorts of commentaries, but sometimes I feel like commentaries are just somebody's perspective or opinion that might not be accurate, and so I really just I like to receive things in the moment, whatever's going to happen or what understanding I'm going to have. And oftentimes that means I don't really get some huge insight, but that's just the way I prefer to read these days. And it's been like that for quite a few years. But I do wonder, like, who this person was that Jacob wrestled with, why that even happened, because it doesn't really seem like an important part of the story. It just happens randomly, and then and then he continues on his journey or whatever. But I mean, obviously it's important because it's in there, but I don't know if it's an angel or I suppose some people might think that it's Jesus or somebody like that, but I'm guessing it's an angel. I just don't know why, what the purpose of that event was, but it's interesting. And wrestled, it's like, I just picture like what is it? Greco-Roman wrestling or something, but they're just like struggling. I don't know what, trying to pin him on his back and 1, 2, 3, or, just funny. Anyway, but yeah, whoever this angel or person was that Jacob was wrestling with, either he was holding back because that was part of his mission, is to make it a worthwhile struggle, or he actually was not strong enough to easily defeat Jacob. So that, I think that's also interesting. And yet again, somehow Jacob knew that this wasn't just some random dude that was walking by. He knew that this was some divine being. He called it, I have seen God face to face, but I think he just didn't understand what was happening there. Thanks for the follow. 2MN Owl. I'm not sure how to say that. Anyway, it's an interesting story. I don't have much to say about the significance because I don't understand it. So let's go on to Genesis chapter 30. Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and with him 400 men. He divided the children between Leah, Rachel, and the 2 servants. He put the servants and their children in front, Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph at the rear. He himself passed over in front of them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, fell on his neck, kissed him, and they wept. He lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, "Who are these with you?" He said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the servants came near with their children, and they bowed themselves. Leah also and her children came near and bowed themselves. After them Joseph came near with Rachel, and they bowed themselves. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" Jacob said, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Let that which you have be yours." Jacob said, "Please, no. If I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present at my hand, because I have seen your face as one sees the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take the gift that I brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." He urged him, and he took it. Esau said, "Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before you." Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are tender, and that the flocks and herds with me have their young, and if they overdrive them one day, all the flocks will die. Please let my Lord pass over before his servant, and I will lead on gently, according to the pace of the livestock that are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord to Seir." Esau said, "Let me now leave with you some of the folk who are with me, He said, "Why? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. Jacob traveled to Succoth, built himself a house, and made shelters for his livestock. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. Succoth means shelters or booths. Jacob came in peace to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and encamped before the city. He bought the parcel of ground where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. He erected an altar there and called it El Elohe Israel. El Elohe Israel means God, the God of Israel, or the God of Israel is mighty. All right, that's Genesis chapter 33. Man, they got some serious trust problems in this family. But I'm not surprised that Jacob is fearful of Esau because Esau wanted to kill him before. But it's like every time Jacob talks to anybody, he has some sort of deceiving or trick up his sleeve. It seems like he tells his brother that he's going to go meet him in Seir or whatever. But then he drops off somewhere else, builds a house, and, it's like, never mind. I'll see you in 20 years. But, yeah. It would be interesting to look at a map to see how long these distances are traveling from place to place, because back then they don't have any, good transportation, so they're just walking. Also, one thing I noticed that I didn't really think too much about before, but Joseph was alive during this time. And Joseph we're going to hear quite a bit about in the next chapters. But he was just, I don't know how old he was, but he was walking along with Rachel and all these people. So that was part of his story too. Usually we think of Joseph's story starting, later when it focuses on him, but he was part of this story too. He had a very big adventurous life, and we'll hear about that pretty soon. Actually, Prince of Egypt is currently, I think, at least last time I checked a couple days ago, Prince of Egypt is a movie cartoon, and it's free on YouTube right now. So if you want to get kind of an interesting perspective on Joseph, that's a fun movie to watch. I haven't watched it since I was a kid, so I might watch it again soon since it's on YouTube right now. Yeah, I actually watch quite a few of my movies on YouTube because it's kind of like Crackle used to be. It's Crackle and other free movie sites from like a decade or so ago. Used to watch movies on there. There's usually not much good on there. It's kind of just random junky movies. But YouTube is kind of like that now. I don't pay for like Netflix and Amazon Prime or anything. So if I see a movie on there that looks interesting, I sometimes watch it. But I don't really watch movies like I used to. Not nearly as much. But anyway, I might watch that though, either before or after I read the stuff about Joseph. But now we're going to go on to Genesis chapter 34. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her. He took her, lay with her, and humbled her. His soul joined to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young lady, and spoke kindly to the young lady. Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this young lady as a wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter, and his sons were with his livestock in the field. Jacob held his peace until they came. Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to talk with him. The sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. The men were grieved, and they were very angry because he had done folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing ought not to be done. Hamor talked with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife. Make marriages with us, give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land will be before you. Live and trade in it, and get possessions in it." Shechem said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you will tell me I will give. Ask me a great amount for a dowry, and I will give whatever you ask of me, but give me the young lady as a wife." The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father with deceit, and spoke, because he had defiled Dinah their sister, and said to them, "We can't do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that is a reproach to us. Only on this condition will we consent to you. If you will be as we are, that every male of you be circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not listen to us to be circumcised, then we will take our sister," Hebrew has literally daughter, "and we will be gone." Their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. The young man didn't wait to do this thing because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was honored above all the house of his father. Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city and talked with the men of their city, saying, "These men are peaceful with us, therefore let them live in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to live with us, to become one people, if every male among us is circumcised, as they are circumcised. Won't their livestock and their possessions and all their animals be ours? Only let us give our consent to them, and they will dwell with us." All who went out of the gate of his city listened to Hamor and to Shechem his son, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of his city. On the third day, when they were sore, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword, came upon the unsuspecting city, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went away. Jacob's sons came on the dead and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks, their herds, their donkeys, that which was in the city, that which was in the field, and all their wealth. They took captive all their little ones and their wives, and took as plunder everything that was in the house. Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have troubled me to make me odious to the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. I am few in number. They will gather themselves together against me and strike me, and I will be destroyed, I and my house." They said, "Should he deal with our sister as with a prostitute?" So that was Genesis chapter 34. So yeah, as they were traveling or dwelling in the land, Jacob's daughter was taken by a man against her will, and so the two of the sons of Jacob wanted to take revenge, so they kind of planned in secret to deceive all the men to get circumcised, and during the time of their healing, they went and killed everybody in the town as revenge for what they did to their sister. Basically is what's going on there. All right, that's it for Genesis today. I'm going to read Matthew chapter 7, and then that'll be it. All right, Matthew chapter 7. Don't judge so that you won't be judged. For with For with whatever judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with whatever measure you measure, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but don't consider the beam that is in your own eye? Or how will you tell your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and behold, the beam is in your own eye? You hypocrite, first remove the beam out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck out of your brother's eye. Don't give that which is holy to the dogs, neither throw your pearls before the pigs, lest perhaps they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Ask and it will be given you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. To him who knocks it will be opened. Or, who is there among you who, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, who will give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? Therefore, whatever you desire for men to do to you, you shall also do to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Enter in by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many are those who enter in by it. How, or because, instead of how narrow is the gate and restricted is the way that leads to life. Few are those who find it. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves. By their fruits you will know them. Do you gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree produces good fruit, but the corrupt tree produces evil fruit. A good tree can't produce evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree produce good fruit. Every tree that doesn't grow good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will tell me in that day, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name cast out demons, and in your name do many mighty works? Then I will tell them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work iniquity. Everyone, therefore, who hears these words of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock. The rain came down, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it didn't fall, for it was founded on the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and doesn't do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the multitudes were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them with authority and not like the scribes. So that was Matthew chapter 7. Yeah, there's actually another windstorm here right now, so when I was reading that, it's like, I bet the wind's going to just make the house fall right as I'm reading that. It'd be the most ironic live stream ever, but I do worry a little bit about the trees, because trees can fall over here. One fell over like a month ago or something and nearly hit the house. So yeah, it's something I think about sometimes. But I'm ready to go. If something like that happens, I'm okay with it. But yeah. This is pretty similar to what we read a day or two ago from another gospel, just with that, some of the sayings of Jesus and stuff. A little bit different though. I struggle with like verse 7 through 7 through 11, I guess. Just about knowing when to ask God for things and when to expect a favorable answer, because it's not always clear. Like, Scripture seems to be pretty clear on that. Like, whatever you ask in Jesus' name, believe that you will receive it, and you will. And if you don't, you're like a doubtful person, double-minded, and etc. And why should you expect to receive anything if you don't believe, and things like that. But many times we do ask and we don't seem to get an answer. So I don't ignore that stuff. I think a lot of people don't like to say what they're feeling, and they're like, I know I've read that, but it doesn't seem like it happens that way. I'm pretty honest about it. I mean, it's pretty obvious that's the way it happens sometimes. But the challenge is to not lose faith in spite of that. Sometimes it takes a long time to receive an answer, and sometimes we're asking for something that, has a reason not to be answered or whatever. But one of the more practical applications of that is like asking for somebody that you care about. Like, I understand if maybe we're asking for something kind of selfish, why God wouldn't answer that kind of prayer. But, I pray for people that are sick or who have some physical difficulty or challenge in their life. And I'm not going to stop doing that. There's no way. I feel like Scripture tells us to do that. But oftentimes we don't see an immediate answer. And so it can be discouraging. That's just reality. I mean, I can't see any other way around that. To pretend that it's not true is foolish. It's just one of those frustrating things that we have to deal with and figure out. Each one of us has to figure out what that means. But I, for one, will never choose to doubt, even in spite of discouragement like that. But it's something I face all the time. I have friends that have some significant challenges, and so I pray for them and ask that God would help them. And I believe God is helping them, just maybe not in the ways that I think he should, or just whatever, And I'm not going to stop praying for them. Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, I'm not the most faithful person in prayer by any means. But when they do come to mind, I'm not just going to say like, oh, well, I guess God doesn't want that to happen, so I won't pray anymore. Just going to keep trying. And there is a verse about that. I think we read it recently where, like the friend came to his friend next door neighbor maybe and's like, I need some bread. I have some people, some visitors in town, and I need some extra this or that to be hospitable. And his friend's like, go away, it's in the middle of the night. But because of his friend's boldness, he gave him all that he needed. And then there's another verse somewhere where it talks about a lady who's nagging this rich man or a king or something, like asking this guy over and over, and the king or the rich dude, whoever he is like getting annoyed by the lady. So he eventually answers. It's kind of weird though, because those parallels, or those whatever you call them, parables, make it sound like God is up there just waiting for us to ask 25,000 times and then he'll answer. I mean, so it's a little bit hard to understand those passages. But I think the point is continuing to be persistent. But not, assuming or begging God, or just insisting that he answer or anything like that. But we have to approach him with humility and say things like, if it's your will, if you want to. I like that verse that we read earlier, maybe a week or two ago, where the person said, if you want to, you can make me well. And I love how Jesus answers. He says, I want to. And I like this translation in that verse because it's basically what it means. God can do anything, but does he want to do it, or is he going to do it? That's the question. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. Is he going to do it? Can he do it? Of course he can do it. Will he do it? Does he want to do it? I don't know. That's up to him. He's not really a genie, He doesn't just do whatever we ask because, he owes us something. We just have to remember who he is and his authority. He's so far above us. He's not just somebody who's there to make our lives easier. We exist for him, not the other way around. But yeah, it's difficult. I'm not going to pretend like it's not. But anyway, that's just stuff that I think about regarding that topic. I'm sure everybody has those similar kind of thoughts. I think some people just get angry or give up or disillusioned or something when they don't get what they want, but I don't think that's going to be very useful. I think it's better to, I don't know what the best reaction is, honestly. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, but definitely not getting frustrated or blaming God or getting angry at God or something like that. I don't think that's very useful. But just keep asking, and maybe he'll reveal what he actually wants so we can live our lives according to that. Because a lot of times he doesn't want us to be free of difficulty. Like, he's not just going to take everything away, make life easier. He might have a purpose for the affliction or the suffering that we go through, and it's not very fun to hear that, but often it brings us to a place that we couldn't have reached otherwise. But anyway, I don't have much vlog stuff to talk about today. I didn't really do anything today. I slept in really late because I was up super late last night. Been continuing to scan in my personal journals, and I still haven't decided if I want to share some of that on my stream. I don't know. Maybe I sound like a broken record. I don't know how to decide that. Right now I'm just scanning them in, so I'm not even really reading them as I go. So if I was sort of reading them, I might be able to determine if the stuff is appropriate to share or not. I'm a pretty open book kind of guy. Like, I'm not afraid of sharing personal secrets or something. A lot of people think like a diary or a journal is full of all sorts of crazy dark secrets or something. But for me, that's not the case. I don't usually write all of the, worst things I've done or something like that, or any secret stuff. It's more just personal journey type things, some personal history and stuff like that. But I'm not really afraid to share that kind of stuff if I feel like, or I come to the conclusion that the reason that I wrote it over the years was for somehow the benefit of other people as well as myself, then I would like to share it. Because I feel like I'm coming more and more to the conclusion, I've always believed this, but even more so today than before, I don't exist for myself. Like, my journey is not just to get to the end of the race and say I made it or I didn't make it or whatever. I exist for others as well. Not that I don't really have confidence or believe in myself to think that I'm going to make a huge impact on the world. That's not something that I suspect will happen. But in any small way that I can, I want to be a blessing to others, whether near or far, strangers or close. Obviously, you have to focus on your friends and family the most, because you can't, effectively have a huge impact on a large number of people in most cases. But, the internet's changed things and made it so that we can speak out and share things that we've been through and be a blessing to people. So if that's possible through my life experience, then I would like to do that. But I don't want to assume that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm just trying to figure it out. And in the meantime, I'll continue to read the Bible. I don't have any special insights to share about that. Just I want to do it in obedience in my own life and benefit and grow from it. And if anyone else joins me alongside that journey, then great. Or more importantly, honestly, I would rather inspire one person or any people to read the Bible for themselves and figure it out, because I know people can't like be here at my random streams and schedule to join in me with this. So if somebody is inspired to get back into reading themselves or something, then that's great. Anyway, that's it for today. Tomorrow or whenever I read next is going to be day 4 of week 5, and it's Genesis chapters 35 to 37, Matthew 8, 1 through 13, I think, and Luke 7. I should just put that in some kind of graphic overlay so I don't have to try to read my paper in the dark. It wouldn't be that hard to do, but anyway, I'm still relatively happy with this Bible app. I like how it presents things. It has some limitations. Like, I wish I didn't have to do this crazy scrolling thing that's like, what would be ideal is if it broke it up into like 2 or 3 verse chunks that were paginated or whatever. So I could just, almost like a PowerPoint presentation, scroll through them that way. Be a little bit easier to look at. And technically I can do that with this app, but it's like a lot of work. So I probably won't. I'll keep doing the scroll thing for now. And it works fine. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to head out. Thanks for joining me, and I will see y'all next time.